Sun 969, good morning. You are listening to Listen to a Sun 969, and what a crazy morning it has been.
It has been a bit of a crazy morning. Now, we've been talking about Halloween and Halloween events, and there was a big event on last night, the market event. Now, I mentioned also in our first chat that there's something going on in Hawkins Court tonight. And the guy who went to Hawkins Court, he'd been to the event, and he told me there was all these protesters at the event on the lawns. He said there was no room on the lawns or anything because there's all these people saving Palestine, which is a very good cause.
I didn't see it, but I heard about it. So I went down to the markets from about 5:30 maybe to 6:30 at the latest. I reckon I was home by 6:30. And so anyway, once I'd been home for a while, you know, just scrolling on Facebook, and I saw a post from someone who was talking about that the markets had turned into a protest about Palestine and all the rest of it, and also a protest to close Pine Gap.
Right, yes, I heard
they tend to go hand in hand.
I think that's what the guy told me. The young guy told me that from Hawkins, and he said that to me.
Yeah, and so I saw this post on Facebook. It was posted by an anonymous member, now that you can do that.
I don't know how people do that, but anyway.
I know. And it says there was no spots to sit on the grass and enjoy the evening because of the protest. And apparently, this is the part that is a bit, I think, not okay. Apparently, a part of the protest was the Alice Springs mayor.
So the mayor was at the protest?
Apparently, yes.
Wow.
So I'm using allegedly and apparently because I wasn't there.
That was put on by Alice Springs Town Council, right?
And then the mayor participated in a protest whilst the markets were happening.
It's a bit of a conflict, do you think? Or not? Because the council puts the event on. Okay. The councillors don't put the event on.
Agreed, but I actually think there's a few moving parts to this. And again, I'm going to preface this by saying this is totally my opinion.
Of course it is. That's what we do in this segment.
It's not the opinion of Sun 969 or anything like that.
No.
And this is all alleged too. I don't have all the facts. I'm going off things I've seen off social media.
So we've got to be a bit careful with that sometimes.
Because I could have my facts wrong. So let's just preface it by saying that.
But is there a picture of her there on the lawns?
No, it's just a post.
So a lot
of people commented that they saw it too.
They saw her there.
I'm going off hearsay here, so let's just keep that. Let's preface it with that.
Right.
So I just think that this was a family-friendly event that was marketed towards families and children. So the poster for the event talked about trick-or-treating, best family costume, best dressed pet. So they were encouraging, and it says it said in the corner of the poster that it was a pet-friendly event. They were encouraging pets to come as well. The craft zone, all this face painting. So it was very much to cater towards children and encouraged to bring pets. Now, the town council organised this event for the community. Fantastic, right?
Yep.
And then smack bang in the middle of the event, they have a protest. I don't even think that's really safe. Like, that amount of people protesting could have scared dogs that they encouraged to be there. There's children everywhere. Like, it just felt market stalls pay to have their stalls there for the event, and then a protest happens. Now, a lot of protests, usually peaceful protests anyway, you get permits for them, and you kind of, people know that they're going to happen, so they can participate or what. But I felt like this wasn't mentioned anywhere. It was like a surprise protest in the middle of a family-friendly event. That's already bad enough, but then to find out it's being supported by our town council.
Well, I don't know if the protest was supported by the town council.
Well, the Alice Springs...
But the mayor, clearly, if she was involved,
and
then
a councillor was there too.
It.
There was a councillor and the mayor, apparently.
Right.
So they make up, they're two people from the town council. Yes. So they're councillors.
I mean, where do you draw the line in these things too? We're a small community, so everyone's involved in everything, and it's
hard.
I mean, I get criticised by Justin, our producer here. Oh, you mentioned Rotary, the Melbourne Cup sweep, which is for a wonderful cause, raising funds for John Hawkins Memorial Scholarship. Now that sends local students to university. That's a good cause.
Absolutely.
But I get in trouble because I'm a Rotarian, and I mention it on the radio. But, I've got permission from our management to put that on the radio, and it's a community event.
And I think the difference is that you mentioning that isn't disrupting the community in a physical way.
No.
Because that's what I feel. Like, as I said, I wasn't there.
It's for a good cause.
I wasn't there, but that's what I feel. When I was out at the markets, it was a bit like I ran into like 3 people, as in like physically. Yeah. It was very busy.
Very busy
now,
market,
imagine very busy, children everywhere, all in costumes. So parents are probably already freaking out a bit, trying to keep an eye on their kids because they're running from this event to that stall. Then they want to get their face painted.
Not to mention the general safety issues in the town anyway.
Exactly.
That we don't really talk about much.
People are, running around after their kids. people are everywhere, stalls everywhere. It's great. There are lines everywhere. So you're like, oh, am I in the line or am I? So it was already hectic, right?
Yeah.
Parents are probably already using every brain cell they can to keep track. Like you would probably know from when your kids were younger, like hectic, right?
It's nuts. It
Absolutely
really is.
nuts. And so then, right at the pinnacle of when all of that is happening, bang, protest in the middle of it.
I can remember chasing my son around Harvey Norman, around Dan Murphy's alcohol shops, things like that, where they just take off. Kids just take off on you, and you've got to chase them and get them. My daughter took off at the zoo in Melbourne one day. That was the biggest fear of my life. I thought I'd lost her. So, these things happen all the time. And, sometimes kids actually don't come back. They get taken or whatever. So there's parents are always very fearful of that. And to be in a situation where there's even more craziness going on, it's probably not an ideal situation. I think they probably could have chosen a better way to do it. Having said that, look, we're not saying that the issues that they're raising aren't issues. I mean, there's always been issues around Pine Gap, and there's been issues around Palestine and obviously Israel and the things going on there. I'm no expert on it. I won't even comment on that.
I'm not either. And the thing I fear for this cause is that this protest, for example, I don't actually think it's going to help the cause, because I feel like if there were people around at the time, they don't care about the cause now. They care about the fact that it was made dangerous for their children. They don't care what you're protesting. Now they're mad at you and they don't want to hear a word you have to say about the cause.
Look, we've had a lot of major protests in Melbourne over the years, locking down the city, particularly during lockdowns, ironically.
And people know in advance so they can keep their families out of the city.
But then all it does is when people are now having to wait an extra hour in traffic to get from one
now
point
people are mad.
Now people are mad with the protesters and mad with the cause.
Yeah.
Look, the cause can be the best cause in the world, but if people are going to get disrupted,
then they don't care anymore.
But then the protesters will say, well, for example, there were climate change in Melbourne when they're doing that climate change protesters, and they'd say, well, we don't care if we lock you down at this point in time because this is more important than you getting to work on time. So the protesters have their point of view and the commuters have their point of view as well.
And what upsets me the most in that situation is that they're making some pretty bold assumptions that the only place those commuters have to go is to work. Someone could be on their way to the hospital for a surgery.
Can't get through. Ambulances. In fact, ambulances were blocked and things like that.
Yep, someone could be on their way to a funeral. Like someone could be on their way to something life-changing and they've got protesters saying, oh, well, our cause is more important. Who are you to tell me what is more important in my life?
And that is what it is. It's entitlement.
Exactly.
It's completely entitled. We're entitled to do this. And I think that's possibly what's happened here.
Yeah.
That we're entitled to. I'm not for a minute saying that the council endorsed this in any particular way.
No.
But it's sort of saying, well, we're doing it because we can. It's like that cheeky sort of thing, that teenage attitude. Oh, well, why are we doing this? Because we can, It's that's the sort of thing that they're doing. They're saying, well, we can. And look, as you say, it's probably not helping anyone to support their cause in any particular way, even if people did feel strongly about the cause before.
If I was there, because I ran into a lot of friends there last night that were there with their kids and stuff, and they were already fairly stressed out.
Yeah.
They already, as I said, the kids running around and stuff like that. And I obviously then went home, so I wasn't there. So this is all hearsay. But can you imagine, and I don't even have kids and I think I would lose it at this, but being in that situation.
Oh, I can't wait till you have kids.
I know. And if I was there with and I had a child, I would have gone nuclear.
I can imagine.
Because if I was there and finally, okay, cool, and 7 o'clock it happened, around 7 apparently is when it happened. So right when, okay, you've got your face painted, you've got all your stuff, finally I've convinced you to sit down on the lawns and have some hot chips. We're going to watch, there was like a show type thing happening. We're going to sit down and have some hot chips and we're going to watch this. We're going to watch this thing. There was like dances and stuff. We're going to watch this thing and then we'll go home. And then right when you get to that pinnacle point, oh no, we can't sit on the lawn because there's a protest happening. A protest that wasn't like no one. It was a surprise protest. There was no, what's it called, like heads up that it was going to happen. And usually with the protests around town, there are a bit of a heads up. Nothing. And do you know what? Again, that's me just speaking out of turn. There could have been, and maybe there was mention of it, but the way everyone was reacting, I don't know if there was. And they're definitely, I don't know. Honestly, I'm just a bit miffed about the whole situation.
Yeah, look, I can
I agree with this. I agree with the protest as well.
Yeah.
And I'm still miffed at the situation because, again, as you were saying before.
Well, you agree with one element anyway, the Palestine element.
Yeah.
Not so much that you may not agree with the Pine Gap stuff.
I don't. I'm not. I was about to say something, but I'm not going to.
No, that's okay.
Because I don't want to put it out there.
No, but I think at the end of the day, everyone has their opinion on Pine Gap. I mean, I love that Pine Gap's here, and I feel good about it. Then there's some people who say, well, it makes us a target if there was ever a war. You know, someone might send something down here, but I think it's here for a reason because it's safe having it so far inland. And I also think that I believe that there's good atmospheric conditions here that allows it, this is just what I understand, that allows it to work here better because it's in the desert where there's less radio interference.
And I just don't think that... I think it's maybe I'm just not educated enough on the subject, but I think my issue with the Pine Gap thing is that I don't understand what one has to do with the other. Like, how is barricading the road to stop local workers getting out to work at Pine Gap doing anything to help Palestine? Like, I can't, in my head, I don't know how they're linked. No. And I think maybe I just don't have the education. Maybe someone can explain it to me. Look, I just don't know how stopping people who are born and bred Alice Springs Australians going out to work, how is that helping things in Palestine?
Well, I don't think it is. Well, it can't possibly be.
Like, I don't understand
it. For
me,
the satellite side of it, I mean, we know it's a monitoring place. Every politician who's ever stepped foot in the place comes out saying, we need Pine Gap. Now, the left, right, doesn't matter where they are. They might be against Pine Gap, when they're growing up as a politician, but they get a tour of the place, obviously a tour of what they can see when they're in government, and they always come out of it going, this is a place that is needed for world security. Yeah. So, look, at the end of the day, I'm going to go with that because when I was younger, I probably was a bit anti-Pine Gap as well. But I like the fact that, we know in this world there are people who don't play by the rules, the Russian leader maybe, or North Korea or whatever, even China, although yesterday it was nice to see China getting along well with Australia and America and all of that sort of thing. So
sometimes I just think there is no winning. I feel like if there was some type of event that happened and everyone would go, well, how come we had no notice? How come we had no heads up? Now this has happened because we didn't know it was going to happen. And it's like, yeah, because you're close Pine Gap. So I just feel like you can't win.
I'm going to stop short of saying I'm a supporter of Pine Gap, but I support what it does because it keeps the world safe. I don't like the idea of it perhaps doing things of aggression, but if we think of ourselves, and I know we're one-sided when we look this way, but if we think of ourselves in the world as peacekeepers, America and Australia and, the Western countries that are all part of the alliance, all the alliances, whatever those alliances are.
I don't think America's part of any alliances anymore.
Well,
FYI.
I don't know, but I tell you what, if we are all in this together, so to speak, as the song says, then I kind of think that, the good people are looking after protecting the world from those who aren't so good. I think that's a better way of putting it. I won't say they're bad, but I'm saying there's some people out there who aren't great leaders and have different philosophies. But if we start using it for aggression to take over the world, but I have never seen any evidence in my lifetime of America or Australia trying to take over countries. I haven't seen us trying to take our territory over, like get more territory. But the only place perhaps is Antarctica, where everyone seems to be fighting over a bit of land down there.
Do you know what? I don't keep abreast of any of that, to be honest. I don't keep across any of that type of stuff, which is why I can honestly say I'm just flat out not educated on what's going on with lots of world news. But I will say that there's a time and a place for everyone to get their opinion out. And I do not think in the middle of a family-friendly Halloween markets is that place.
Look, I agree with you. I agree entirely. And I think, as you say, if we had more warning about it or if they found a place that was safe, maybe at the edge of the event and it was kept to one side, maybe they should have done on the town council lawns as everyone walked past to go to the mall or something like that, or maybe in one of the car parks. But then, people wouldn't have had
I'm not actually sure where it physically was.
No, it was on the lawns apparently.
Like near where that church is? Yeah, okay. Yeah. So when I was there, those lawns were filled with like chairs and children and and kids entertainment.
Yeah, right. Well, anyway, we had our say. Have a great weekend, and keep listening to the Rambles. We'll ramble on again on Monday.
Bye.